Hey Ottawa, this is Annalee Rice with Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa, Ontario, and this is your Monday market snapshot for the Ottawa Real Estate Market for June 12th, 2023. First off, let's look at the citywide stats. This week we're seeing quite a large jump. It's the biggest jump we've seen all year long for the number of active listings. Most notably, we see that the detached homes and townhomes, but mostly the townhomes have had quite a big jump this week. Condominiums are just up a little bit. For sold properties, we're seeing a decrease in the number of detached homes just slightly, but an increase in the number of townhomes that sold and quite a drop in the condominiums that sold. It kind of reversed what we saw last week where there was a big jump, and this week it jumped back down. This is our graph format for the same thing. We've got the green represents the number of active listings, which we can see over the last few weeks has been climbing. The number of conditionally sold properties looks like the orange wedge is getting a little bit smaller. And then this week, the sold properties were a little bit less than last week. Here we have the graph form for the new listings and the sales. When we're looking at the new listings, that's the yellow bars, we see that there were 486 properties listed this past week. That's pretty strong. It's close to the top for the year. And of those, 79% or 385 of them were new listings, new to the market listings. 101 or 21% were properties that were relisted. If we look at the red bars, that's the sales for this week. We see that the sales slowed slightly from last week. And we can see June, the last couple weeks, are a bit lower than what we saw throughout most of May. And this is the main reason that we're starting to see more active listings, is that our sales are dropping off as compared to the number of new listings. This chart here shows us what percentage of the homes are selling with or without conditions. So this week we had 25% of the homes selling without any conditions. So 75% still selling with some sort of a conditional period. And of the homes that sold this week, 24% of them were on the market for 7 or fewer days, and 70% were on the market for 30 or fewer days. Of the homes that had sold within 7 days, we see 65% of those sold with no conditions. Okay, now we're going to zoom into the different regions of the city for some more details on the local stats. First, we've got the central urban region. We're seeing an increase in both the detached and townhome listings, but quite a drop of number of condominiums that are listed for sale. Sales of condominiums also dropped, and then this week, but we see the slight increase in the number of townhomes that sold. In Canada and Stittsville, we see increased inventory across property types, most notably in the townhomes. That's actually the highest number of townhomes we've seen listed for sale in quite a while there, so that's good. The sales across Canada and Stittsville were very flat across all property types. In Barrhaven and Riverside South, again, we see an increase of inventory, active listings across all property types, and most notably those condominiums. 14 increase is huge. Sales, again, were pretty flat across the property types, a slight decrease in condominiums, slight increase in detached and townhomes. And I would still comment that the number of homes for detached homes in Barrhaven and Riverside South is incredibly low compared to the other areas of the city. And in Orleans, we see a slight increase in the number of townhomes and a little bit in condominiums and a slight drop in the detached homes. For sales, slight increase in the detached and townhomes and significant drop in the number of condominiums that sold this week. Here are the full details for the residential detached market across the city. And if you note that the Barrhaven Riverside South conditionally sold numbers are abnormally high at 2.364 million, that's because there's a property that I believe shouldn't really be listed in this segment, but it's listed at like $10 million and it's conditionally sold. And it looks like it's a piece of property for development for a larger subdivision, but it's bringing up the average there for the average price, and also that affects the citywide conditionally sold averages. For residential townhomes, we see these full stats here, and we can see that they're selling quite quickly. and the prices are pretty steadily in the 600 range. And here are the stats for the condominium market across the city. And you'll notice that for the cumulative days on market for both Barrhaven, Riverside South, as well as Orleans, there's some really, really high numbers for the sold properties, for the CDOMs for sold properties. And that's because they've had very few sales, but also in both cases, there were properties that were listed for a very, very long time, and they just happened to sell on this week. And it abnormally pulled up the average for the days on market. Okay, so I hope that this update was helpful to you and informative. And if you have any questions or if you have any things that you'd like to see me speak to or show in my updates, please get in touch, let me know. And I hope you have a great week.